Hey everyone, my name is Chip Williford, and Maggie and I are so happy that you're here at Poetry Street, a room without a roof where every voice is heard. I wear a mask. Beneath the mask is a big old smile, masking. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome to Poetry Street. Maggie,
Oh my God.
come to say hi. We are so happy that you're all here. And we're at the Riverhead Library, and we're so happy to be here. We have a room full of people, poets, and we have rooms across the United States and beyond on Zoom for this Poetry Street reading. Now, we're happy to be here. It's our 8th year, so we're going into our 9th year, and we're happy to be here. Come on now, 8 years.
8 years, folks.
Before we get started, we would like to start with the land welcoming, and for this welcoming, we invited Jerron McKelvin, who actually did a video for us. So we're going to play that video now.
As Chip said, whenever we embark on any endeavors, anything with regards to invoking a good spirit, invoking teamwork, leadership, all of those principles in each individual, we always want to acknowledge the Creator for what He's bestowed upon us. With all reverence and gratitude to Creator for the blessings bestowed upon us on these sacred grounds that we call our home, we thank Him for our ancestors all across each state and the archipelago of the Caribbean islands and beyond. For they left the instructions handed down by signs in nature and in the heavens. We give special gratitude to our extended Lenape family here in New York for the ability to live and situate ourselves in their ancestral homelands. There were many tribal nations living together in the Americas for countless thousands of years prior to European encroachment, which underlined the wars, forced enslavement, and migrations in the 17th century and led to the Dutch West India Company to acquire a stronghold of land from the Lenape nation. They renamed it New Amsterdam and subsequently New York after the Anglo-Dutch Wars. Although there have been many countless tribal nations lost because of the aforementioned reasons, there are still many descendants of the ancestors who lived to nurture and protect the homelands, oral histories, and way of life. As a new day is upon us, it is vitally imperative that we acknowledge our history in order that we preserve the lessons of our past to make way for a restoration of peace and balance for a more prosperous future that we can all benefit from and enjoy together in our pursuit of happiness. Thank you.
And as we celebrate Juneteenth, we know that originally that pursuit of happiness was not for everyone. We're here, and we're so happy that you're all here. And now I would like to introduce you to our co-host, the wonderful, the beautiful, the very talented Maggie Bloomfield.
Thank you, Chip. Thank you. I too want to welcome everybody who's here and everybody who's on Zoom. Welcome to Poetry Street, the room without a roof, where every voice is heard. And you already know me, and you already know Chip, but you also need to thank, and we need to thank Claire Lundberg, Mike Gary, and the Riverhead Library for giving Poetry Street a new home. Poetry Street was started 8 years ago as part of a Jumpstart project. It was started by Susan Dingle, and Susan recognized the need for a poetry venue in Riverhead to celebrate poetry diversity and inclusion. Bubby Brown joined her. He is with us today, African-American poet and community leader. And when these two people got together, the magic happened. We were offered the hospitality of the Blue Duck Bakery in Riverhead, and we were there for 6 years monthly. Sadly, the Blue Duck closed, COVID hit, and for a while we were appearing only on Zoom. For the last 2.5 years, but now we are here and thrilled to be able to be with you to celebrate Juneteenth and the 8th anniversary of Poetry Street. Can we hear it for that? So the idea is poetry, of course. And we have two wonderful features today. We will also be having an open mic. There's so much to celebrate this month. Pride Month, our anniversary, and really the opening up of life after COVID. I'm just hoping that sooner or later, we're all gonna be in person together again. So after the features, we are going to have an open mic, and I hope you signed up for it. We ask that you share with us. We really welcome people to share their work, but we ask you to limit yourself to 3 minutes. Some of you signed up here, the rest of you need to sign up in chat, please, if you're on Zoom. So it's been quite a week. It's been quite a horrible, horrible week. Let's face it. But we are here to celebrate. And this morning I wrote a little bit of a welcoming statement of my own. I'm celebrating these beautiful occasions with us today, Juneteenth and the 8th anniversary of Poetry Street. Before you enter the hallowed ground of poetry, diversity, and books, where words are the bearers of beauty, power, and grace. We request that you please deposit your tears over the decimation of freedom in the pail provided, that you hack away at the shackles of misogyny through poetry and song, and kindly leave your gun at home. Thank you.
Well,
So ladies and gentlemen, we have two wonderful features. Chip, are you going to introduce the features today?
Well, sure, why not?
Go for it.
So first we have Marsha M. Nelson. She's an award-winning poet, playwright, and screenwriter. She has been nominated for the Blue Light Press Pushcart and was a third prize recipient in the Super Poem Contest at the Walt Whitman Birthplace. She writes and directs, and she also published many anthologies. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Marsha M. Nelson.
what to the American slave is your 4th of July? I answer, a day that reveals to him more than all other days in the year, the gross injustice and cruelty to which he is the constant victim. Frederick Douglass. I thank you, Maggie, for inviting me today. I really appreciate this. And to Chip, nice to meet you. This is the first time I've met you. I have Maggie on Facebook. On July 19th, 1865, enslaved Texans learned that they were free and that the Confederacy had fallen. Abraham Lincoln had signed the Emancipation Proclamation on July 1st, 1863. Apparently, proclaiming slaves free did not make them free. The law was ignored by many slave owners. 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, Union soldiers entered Galveston, Texas, under the leading of General Gordon Granger. They freed the slaves, prompting someone to remark that it took guns to emancipate the slaves quicker than a mere letter. In 1980, Texas became the first state in the US to declare Juneteenth a state holiday. Although festivities had gone on for many years in various states and celebrated in various ways. The day was recognized as a federal holiday on June 17, 2021, by President Joe Biden, who signed the Juneteenth National Independence Day Act into law. Why celebrate Juneteenth? Juneteenth should be celebrated across the United States because it's an important milestone in history. It is a day that is, did my mic go off? It is a day that is also referred to as Freedom Day, Independence Day, Emancipation Day, or Jubilee Day. The color red is important to Juneteenth because it symbolizes the blood that was shed during slavery. It symbolizes the perseverance and the resilience of Black people. So for the poets in the room, if you direct your attention to the first artwork on the floor, it was done by my friend Arlene McGuire, and I decided to write 2 poems to it. And so these are my ekphrastic poems. And I call it my twin poem. You'll see why. The first poem is called Red Flag. Back bent, pricked fingertips, drip crimson smeared on cotton. Sweat and tears mingle. Bare backs, strapped 52 lashes, spewed the color of our soiled flag. Broken necks, bodies hung limp, swaying in the vile Confederate wind. Buck breaking, broken spirits. Our trees are fallen, plucked at the roots, the fruit of our womb stolen. Our branches break, snapped limbs and body parts, severed joints and communities. Who brought you from Egypt in disease-ridden ships? Dear jewel of the Nile. And the next one is called Red Cry. Let's make America great again by breaking down the walls that divide our ethnicities, gender, and disabilities. Let's take ownership of our past atrocities, broken promises, and treaties. Systematic trauma in the minds of a people, Lakota, Crow, Apache, Sioux, Cheyenne, Cherokee, Navajo. Massacre at Wounded Knee and Bloody Island. Fierce warriors fighting for survival. Nature's protectors and guardians. Standing Rock, not just another standoff, but a spiritual call for retribution. If not heeded, the blood of our ancestors will cry out from this land. So, thank you. So those two were my twin poems. And it has to do with the African American and the Native American. African Americans and Native Americans share a rich history together of both cooperation and confrontation. Native Americans were first slaves. They died quickly and in vast numbers, so Africans were brought over to the Americas. They both were sometimes pitted against each other by white slave owners, but mainly they came together to fight. For example, the Seminoles in Florida that fought fiercely. Now, in line with the color red, African Americans celebrated Juneteenth by dressing in the color red and by eating certain foods like red velvet cake. They drank red drinks and ate watermelons, strawberries, etc., and various summer cookout dishes. Now, speaking of fruits, I'd like to read my poem. It's called First Fruits of the Harvest. And this one I wrote years ago. And it goes like this. Like echoes of the past, newly sounding, we see the flicker of lights, the tabors abounding. We hear the call of freedom, of pride and pain. 400 years of slavery, cruel betrayals of greed and gain. We are descendants of a land with riches untold, stolen from this great continent only to be sold. 4 million strong, scattered like the sand, yet we survived in someone else's land. Plucked too soon from our great mother's breast, we call this place home, a place for our heads to rest. We would that she will gather us back into the fold, like sons of adoption, like the prodigal son of old. We yearn to belong, so we look towards this land with its ancient song, yet always knowing to look to the Creator, the Alpha and the Omega. My brother, my sister, do not reproach us, nor harbor the suspicion of another's blood, which flows too deep to mention. We cry out for our birthright, for what the freedom fighters fight. Toussaint Louverture and Shaka, the Zulu king, both brave and fearless in battle. Mandela, years of incarceration could not break his will. We say, Kujichagulia for the struggle. And because the abolitionists dared to press, we say Umoja to Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, and Frederick Douglass. Unity under duress. We watch as returnees to the land like Maya and Sylvia forged their way because they had a plan. We say Ujima to the future. For when the harvest is ripe and the first fruits end their toil, the reaper will come in to gather the spoil. Thank you. John Henry Yates was a freedman, a minister, and a community leader. He married Harriet Willis, who was forcibly moved when her master relocated to Texas. Yates followed his wife to Texas, and they moved to Houston after emancipation. The couple had 11 children. Yates died on December 22nd, 1897. Yates High School was named in his honor. And these are famous alumni of the Yates High School. Felice Rashad. She played the part of Claire Huxtable on The Cosby Show. Debbie Allen, sister to Felice Rashad. She's an actress and choreographer. Best known for her part of the strict dance instructor in the movie Fame. Roland Martin, journalist and winner of 2 NAACP Awards. He's the host of Roland Martin Unfiltered, and the last one is George Floyd. Graduated Yates High School in 1993, murdered by a police officer in Minneapolis, Minnesota, during an arrest after a store clerk suspected him of using a counterfeit $20 bill. This poem is called The Need to Breathe for George Floyd. In the summer of 2020, the pandemic raging, we were witnessing an orgy of rituals. A culture of death played out in the streets, in the daily news and TV. Black people fighting to survive a disease, dying at a high rate, struggling to breathe, on hospital beds and in the streets, locked down, locked up, stopped, frisked, searched, questioned, eyed with suspicion, policed, restrained, beaten, chained, choked, yoked, need. Black men and women need to breathe. 9 minutes of sheer brutality, Chauvin's eyes cold and unfeeling, his hands in his pockets, we will never forget. What did George Floyd feel, eyeing the backseat of a small squad car, all 6 foot 6 inches, 223 pounds of him? Okay, and if you would direct your gaze to the second artwork, it's two photographs. The first one is the protesters after George was killed, and you also see the senator. I call this poem Tyranny, and the epigraph I took from George Wallace. They drank ordinary wine in the promised land. They drank ordinary wine in the promised land, where we crushed grapes of wrath beneath our feet, made bricks out of straw, while honey flowed in their cups. We are stronger than we know, even though we are trampled in the streets, our necks under the brutal foot of white supremacy, the Trojan arm at Auschwitz. Under siege, no distinction between age or occupation, gassed in the streets. I cringe at the photograph of the Black senator, his face white with the milk of loathing. And I have a footnote. New York Senator Zelno Myrie is pepper sprayed at a BLM protest. Thank you. So my last poem is called Glory. And if you direct your attention to this artwork, it was done by a young lady. Her name is Nina Pascal. Glory. Their faces stare into the distance, crafted by the skillful strokes of the artist Nina Pascal. She, unable to voice her emotional distress, takes charcoal, graphite, and pastel in hand. Her lines soft and strong as she contours, shades, and blends her frustration into faces of social consciousness. A Tatiana, Brianna, Ayana, African American princesses in different seasons of their young lives, tied to the same cord of ethnicity, a matrix of suffering that dates back to slavery, a painful period in our history. A Tatiana, pride and joy of her family, graduated college with a degree in biology. She sold pharmaceutical equipment to fund her medical studies. On a wellness check, shoved through a window by an officer. Brianna, surrounded by the wrong people in the hood. The night the officers raided her apartment, she was not the intended target, but she died in a hail of bullets, the result of a no-knock warrant. Ayana, the youngest with dimpled grin, loved playing with her dolls, playing with her cousin. She was asleep on her grandmother's couch when a SWAT team threw a flashbang that burned her blanket. Then an officer shot her through the neck. All three slain by the bullets of those who swore to protect and serve. Their lives mattered. Their Black bodies mattered. Now they wait in glory for their celestial bodies. And it won't matter because there will be no color. Thank you. And I got the title for that poem from a song. It's called Glory by John Legend and Common. So when you get a chance, Google it and listen to the words. It's awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Marsha M. Nelson. Let's give her another hand. Wow, what powerful and great work. Thank you so much for that, Marsha. Now, it is my honor to introduce our next feature, Takudzwa Chikepe, a native of Zimbabwe, and international known as Takudzwa Chikepe, the poet. He is a two-time featured poet at the Bridgewater International Poetry Festival, and last year won the International Reggae and World Music Award. Best Poet in the Montecanca category, the first African to win this award. And I'm sure that you're going to correct me on the pronunciation of that, and please do. Taku is also the founder of Chikepe and the 100 Sailors, the publisher of the Sailors Review, an arts and literary journal, and he is currently pursuing a Master's of Divinity at Duke University in North Carolina. For Chikepe, the poet believes that poetry is a calling, and he uses different states of mind, music, and spirituality to define and express poetry. He also believes that art is not just a subject, but is therapy and can heal nations. Ladies and gentlemen, Takudzwa Chikepe.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm very happy to be here. This is my first time. I hope I'm going to be invited again. More love and more blessings to Marsha B. Nelson. It is difficult, it is very hard to be a poet, but the best thing about it is we love being poets. So I'm not going to reintroduce myself. I was introduced as I was introduced. My first poem for today is a prayer. It reads, "The beauty about this life is we came from somewhere. Someone created us. We are here in this world as a passage, transiting from one place to another. The state we are in right now is the vulnerable state, but we thank God we have it, and we thank God we are alive. For one wise man said, he authored our lives. He began a good thing, and he will finish it. He makes everything beautiful in its own time, again and again and again. The real gift in life is to accept life than refusing it through asking ourselves different questions we cannot understand or answer. Provided we are alive today, the best we can be is to be happy and receive life as it is. One day when we wake up not alive, we will be happier than the vulnerability. This vulnerability has been, as it has taken from us, especially when we walk in the golden paths and sing with the angels. What is the worst that can happen to a good person except good life? Good life is all we need. Good life is all we have, and good life is our life. From the beginning to the end, and from the end to the beginning, we will not stop loving one another. We will not stop loving ourselves, and we will not stop loving this life, because life is good and God is good all the time. We will not let the devil take away our life, and we will not let the devil take away our happiness, because in his path we shall not walk, his intoxications we shall not take, and to his destiny we shall not inherit. And all he took from us, we take back by force and thunder, because life is good and God is good all the time. Thank you. My second poem for today is called A Hidden Agenda. My name is a hidden opinion. I am going to give you equal opportunities to vulnerability. I will make it like a choice, whereby I will say, I have a cake in my hand and dirt in the other hand. Just choose anything you like. In this way, it will be easy to classify the masses, throwing away dirt and offering cupcakes to all cake lovers. I have advanced human behavior and social behavior to my own magnitude. Anything that comes from you is old-fashioned, if you are lucky, or else I will quickly point it as speculation, conspiracy theory, or even hate speech. I have taken the abnormal to be the normal so that you become the abnormal. Nowhere to run to for fear is your atmosphere. You are afraid of me. You are afraid of my family. You are afraid of my friends. You are afraid of your family. You are afraid of your friends. You are afraid of your shadow. And you are even afraid of yourself. I told you, my name is a hidden agenda. While least everyone is still doing gender studies, I am busy creating generations for today and tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. I told you, my name is a hidden agenda. Thank you. My third poem for today is entitled Change Gates. You are developing this world in a wrong way, only because you don't want to change some systems, only because you don't want to stop some of these brutal practices. You are saying it is better if we can all be vulnerable than to provide a solution to this problem and that problem and that problem. You changed your assumption to become a fact, and you cultivated it in us all so we can believe it all. Is this healthy? Is this a healthy way of ruling us? Let us now try the untried and see what happens. As if you are always waiting for something to happen first so you can prove yourself and prove your point. Leaders are leaders. Leaders are not followers, busy pulling out of life anyone who is resistant to consistency. We have been constant for a long time. We have been stationary for a long time. It is now time to move. Please don't tell me that you are the ones who are now afraid of change. Ladies and gentlemen, let us change gates and fully develop, because for a long time, this world is being developed in a wrong way and in a wrong direction. Thank you. My other poem is entitled The Global Village. Inside the river, there is a big crocodile ready to devour everyone in the village. The village leaders know about this crocodile. Time and again, they sacrifice someone from the society to quench its thirst for blood and hunger for flesh. To keep this crocodile satisfied, sometimes they throw 10 people into this river, and sometimes hundreds, and sometimes thousands. It won't be a shock to say millions of people have been swallowed by this crocodile. And their argument remains the same. It is the only way we can keep ourselves safe. It is either you agree to be safe or you are next in line. To and from, the fewest are running around looking for an escape route from this village, only to realize that we are a small island surrounded by a big river owned by this very big crocodile. Its mouth, it has opened. One of these days, we will all be swallowed by this crocodile. Thank you. My other poem is entitled The African Dream. Some people in Africa, they didn't like this poem, and they banned it from their TV. But I love this poem so much. It defines the freedom of a poet. The African Dream. Africa is divided, but no one wants to talk about it. Africa is poor, but everyone thinks it's rich. Africa, at first, she was robbed, then she was put in chains, diluted, frightened, confused, and now she is being used and abused. And we all are used to it now. What is the meaning of Africa to you if you have never crossed the border? Does this mean you are African or you are a person of your own country? Where are we going if we can't remember where we came from? From abundance to scarcity, we continue to live like rats, forgetting that once we were once kings and queens, quick to blame our leaders as if we are not also leaders. Leaders of our own destinies, leaders of our own families from poverty, leaders of our communities to development, leaders of our countries to unity, and leaders of our continent to prosperity. Our continent is now infiltrated by distraction. Where shall we run to? And what shall we do? What shall we do, Africa? This is just a dream. We will wake up one day. For America to be America, they first fought each other. For us, we simply need to love one another. If not, there shall be no Africa, but just a land, someone's land. Thank you. My other poem, this one is entitled 2022. It reads, she was touching her hair continuously as if it would fly away. I mean, He was touching his hair continuously as if it would fly away. I loved them so much. They reminded me of freedom, freedom of expression, identity freedom, and character freedom. Everyone else in the bus was stone cold, as if they were severely beaten before they left their homes and houses. Maybe they were soaked in depression and told to come out of it the day after tomorrow. This also reminded me of the Great Depression. Yes, the 1929 to 1941 saga, where a great economy was reduced into tatters, a sunless abyss below Hades in which Zeus imprisoned the Titans. No, this is not 1929 or June 19, 1866 or 1619 White Lion that saw some of the first slaves or the colonization of the BCs and the ADs. No, this is 2022. This is 2022. This is 2022. We need to jumpstart our brains for the full development of this world, or else some of our brains will not stop toiling around. My last poem for today is entitled Slavery. Enjoy. I am a slave. You are not a slave. You are a slave. I am not a slave. We are slaves. They are not slaves. They are slaves. We are not slaves. This is slavery. This is not slavery. This is freedom. This is not freedom. This is the beginning. This is the end. This is the light. This is the darkness. This is June. This is July. This is this year. This is not this year. This is life. This is not life. I am alive. You are not alive. You are alive. I am not alive. I am me. You are not me. You are me. I am not you. I am who I am. Is this slavery? What is slavery? And what is freedom? Thank you.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Before we go into our open mic, I'm going to bring Maggie Bloomfield back. Maggie Bloomfield, you know, she won an Emmy. Yes, of course you did. Tell us about your Emmy first.
Oh, God. It was for contributions to Sesame Street. I wrote lyrics for Sesame Street. Well, Chip, since you brought me back, I guess I think you and Claire are going to introduce the open mic. Before we do that, can we just like give a basketball cheer for these fabulous speakers? Woo-hoo! Oh my God. I am going to read a short poem of my own, which I intended in the open mic. It's kind of similar to what I read before. It's an old poem, but I think it's a timely poem. It's called If I Were. If I were a gun, I would be a revolver. I would revolve, rolling and rolling and rolling through the land, gathering damaged souls into my chambers. Waiting in each chamber would be a poem, one of repair, one of love, one of nurturing, one of hope, one of light, one of compassion, one of forgiveness, one of inclusion. I would spill my chambers onto green grass by a clear stream, and we would all take up paper and pen. Thank you. I'm going to turn the mic over to Chip now.
Thank you so much, Maggie. Okay, so if you're on Zoom, we ask that you please send Claire a message and tell her that you would like to read. And let's thank Claire for all the work that she's doing behind the scenes. And also I'd like to do a shout out to TA Now, who did some of our publicity work for us, and we'd just like to give him a thank you. And once again, Taku and Marsha, you guys were just exceptional. Thank you so much. Okay, so first we have one of our founders who's here in the room with us today, Bubby Brown, Robert A. Bubby Brown. Let's give him a round of applause.
Hey, Bobby.
And Bubby is such an awesome man. He's been nominated and has been awarded Man of the Year many times here in Riverhead. And he's definitely a mentor to me, and I just love seeing him. Bubby Brown.
Thank you. Inherent paranoia. How dare all of us stand here, chest poked out with pride? Are we really all of that? Self-righteousness on our side. Do I deserve all that I have? Did I pay all of my dues? Am I just whose steps am I walking in? Am I walking in borrowed shoes? This land where sits my humble home, where I sleep each night in peace, historically earned or stolen from a relative of Cochise. The right I've earned and suffered for after hundreds of years of slavery, to demand my piece of the land of the free and the home of the brave. I read and otherwise heard about Black history not taught in school. 'Twas not a myth, but a broken promise of 40 acres and a mule. 400,000 acres of land from Charleston, South Carolina, to St. John's River on the Florida's coast may as well have been in China. It was given to slaves who fought in the war, land once called a plantation, given to those who had worked the land, then fought to save the nation. Inherent paranoia flows like blood in the promises that were spoken to build up hope in downtrodden folk, then shatter their dreams when broken. So hard, so wrong, so difficult to balance wrong and right, when the scales of justice are balanced by being brown, black, red, yellow, or white. Our Brittany Griner continues confined in a communist prison jail. That pesky germ invades my mind, that inherent paranoia prevails. That pesky paranoia screams to me, if her name were mere hand, she'd be free to occupy space right now where you and I am. How difficult, how different would the outcome be? How would our government react if the sick and traitorous rioters of those Proud Boys, if they were Black? There'd be a different story told. There'd be so much more drama if January 6th were led by a man whose name was Barack Obama. This inherent paranoia that lives deep down within my soul is not a useless infection. It plays a useful role. It's taught me that the media, and what it puts before me. Read, watch, listen, turn it over. There's another side to this story. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bubby, and thank you so much for being one of the partners who founded Poetry Street. Okay, next we're gonna ask Judy, that's here, to please read. And then we're gonna get to that purple poet lady who's in Purple Land a little bit later. Judy, where are you from? Come on over.
Riverhead.
Riverhead, come on over.
Sweet Riverhead.
All right, great. Thank you, Judy.
So my little piece, I hope, will afford everyone a few moments of relief and fantasy after this grueling week that we have all lived through. It's called flying. When the weather was warm, I used to rise before dawn, get my bicycle from the garage and hop on. Bathed in the glow of sunrise, I rode miles over the sleepy two-lane roads of Cutchogue, Peconic, and Mattituck. Just the soft hum of my tires, warm air flowing over my skin, absorbing sights, hearing birds, immersed in thought. I rolled past fields bursting with sunflowers or corn, paused under a huge draping willow to watch the mist float off the cemetery headstones. My destination depended upon mood and weather. Regular trips to the farm stand on Oregon Road, 5 miles from home, where freshly picked corn was left out in trusting baskets. Just put money in the box. Or to the long Causeway Beach leading to Nassau Point, brisk breezes off a sparkling blue Peconic Bay, tiny plovers sprinting across the sand. I used to have the energy after one of these magical mornings to walk the dog several times, go shopping, have friends and family share food, maybe even do some gardening. But now I don't want to get out of bed before dawn when the weather is warm, or any time. I linger, watching the sky lighten through the north window over my bed, the cat sometimes purring next to my head. Occasionally, I have a dream that always starts the same way. I'm gliding through the air about 10 feet above the ground. My body is in the straight Superman position, but my arms are spread out in a T instead of pointing ahead. It's quiet as I glide over two-lane roads like the ones I used to bike, exhilarated by my ability to fly and awed by the beauty of the fields and trees. The dream always ends the same. Things go black. There is the sensation of falling, and I am awake. But the images and sensations, the thrill of this special time in my life when riding my bike at dawn felt like flying remains. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And now we're going to hear from the purple poet in Purple Land, Judy J.R. Turek.
Thank you. Thank you, Marsha. Thank you, Taku. Thank you, Chip. Thank you, Maggie. Thank you, Claire. And thank you all there who I can't see, but it's poetry. I am hour 6 of a 24-hour poetry marathon. So I'm gonna read you 2 poems that I just wrote. Haven't posted the one yet, but here we go. My theme this year, which is dog speak. So this is from hour 3, daily news. You've got your newspaper. Now get my leash. Coffee for you, water for me. Let's go get my news. We are going to the park. No rain today, sunny skies, no fleas, no flies, and friends all around. Sniff, sniff. Charlie was here. Sniff, sniff. And so was Scout, but now they're gone. See, you take too long getting ready. No one here cares what you're wearing. Oh, big boy Xerox had barbecue chicken last night. Lucky him, but I had French fries. Maybe just a little too much salt. Can I have some water, please? Thanks. Okay, gotta run and play. All my foodie friends are here. Hershey and Ruffles, Klondike and Snickers, Snapple, Munchkin and Keebler, and that giant gumball, though he is round and sweet. We're at the dog park. Play, play, play. Sniff, sniff, sniff. What a wonderful life. A ball, a stick, my favorite, a frisbee. All shapes and sizes, all colors and breeds, all joyous together. Hey, humans, are you taking notes? Okay, tired now. Home, please, bed, sleep. Will you carry me? Sniff, sniff. Here, you need some kisses. And the other, yeah, I haven't posted this one yet, so I'm gonna look for my typos. You and me and he, she. I'm lonely when you're not home, and I know you need to go to work to make bone money, yeah, money to buy bones, but it's so quiet when you're not here. Can you get me a brother or a sister, a he or a she? I won't love you any less, won't play favorites between you and him or her. We'll always have kisses for you, but I need someone to romp with, maybe a puppy to show the ropes to, teach him, her to follow the rules, outside to do business before play, not to bark at the mailman because he's our friend, though I don't know why. He's never brought me anything, but I digress. I'll teach little newbie how to sit and stay, but no begging because we don't beg here. Dinner is always yummy. Eat it all and then you get a treat. No hogging the bed. Your pillow is off limits, and never, ever, under any duress, take your shoes or slippers or stinky socks. What do you say? Can I share you? Can you share me and make room for number 3? Thanks, guys.
Awesome, thank you so much. So Judy like writes like every minute of the hour. So if you're at night, if you hear anything, it's Judy. It's not a raccoon in the woods, it's Judy typing, so no worries. Okay, so we're gonna go for someone here. We're gonna go with Nina Yavelle. Now, Nina Yavelle is on Poetry Street on the road, the film, and also Poetry Street on the road, one of the episodes as well. Okay, Nina Yavelle. Love you.
Nina Yavelle's getting old. Quick phone.
Speaking to me.
Los Alamos. Near here, a place of higher pines, mesa, sculptured hills, rocks seated like gods or goddesses or Navajo. The leaves have turned to gold trinkets glittering in the blue afternoon. Ghosts move in and out of the pockmarked faces, shadows on the cavern walls. This was once a holy place where clans of Hopi began and ended their migrations. Kachinas came down from stars, flowing from the Pleiades to Arabi. The spirits danced with eagles under a turquoise sky. Now black masks stare up from the arroyo. Nothing stirs except the boughs of spruce. Once the gods worked red clay, shaped men from the imagination. Now men fashion the infinite, shape God from dust. For my brother. The 4 of us played, hung and swayed on the garden swings. What was there to do as we tried to grasp the smoldering pain of your being plucked unripe from the fire in the apple groves? At the door of release, when your face broke through the oiled leaves, your muscled arms, graceful hands,
Thin hips, your once thick veins no longer pulse. What was there to do? We hung and swayed above the tense Libran earth, below a white linen sky. It was then, on that warm September afternoon, with its bird shell of moon, that we began to grasp eternity.
Thank you, Nina, so much. And again, you can see Nina's perform at poetrystreetontheroad.com, episode #1 of the film. Claire, who do you have over there in Zoom land that would like to read?
Okay, the next two on my list are Herb and then Maria.
Awesome. So is that Joe Hearn?
No, Herb Gunner.
Oh, okay, Herb Gunner. Okay, awesome. Okay, awesome, Herb. Okay.
Yeah, you know, we're having a little bit of buffering problem here. I almost feel like I'm watching one of those foreign movies with subtitles, and the mouths aren't quite, you know.
It's not, it's,
I
trust me, it's
think
not
that's
foreign, it's
because
just-
you're outside, Herb.
You think it's I'm out, right?
Yeah,
Okay, I'll do my best with this reading. Okay.
you appear well.
Oh, okay, very good, thank you. Well, here we are back to the 1950s and early 1960s. We have to start marching again. Up, it will be uphill, to freedom land. For civil rights, women's rights, LGBTQ plus rights, poor people rights, etc. Through voting rights for all. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round. Turn me round, turn me round. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round. I'm gonna keep on a-walking, keep on a-talking, marching up to freedom land. Ain't gonna let injustice, Alito, turn me round. Turn me round, turn me round. Ain't gonna let injustice, Alito, turn me round. I'm gonna keep on a-walking, keep on a-talking, marching up to freedom land. Ain't gonna let injustice, Kavanaugh, turn me round, turn me round, turn me round. Ain't gonna let injustice, Kavanaugh, turn me round. I'm gonna keep on a-walking, keep on a-talking, marching up to freedom land. Ain't gonna let injustice, Thomas, turn me round, turn me round, turn me round. Ain't gonna let injustice, Thomas, turn me round. I'm gonna keep on a-walking, keep on a-talking, marching up to freedom land. Ain't gonna let no fugitive slave, aid and abet law turn me round, turn me round, turn me round. Ain't gonna let no fugitive slave, aid and abet law turn me round. I'm gonna keep on a-walking, I'm gonna keep on a-talking, marching up to freedom land. Ain't gonna let no injustice turn me round, turn me round, turn me round. Ain't gonna let no injustice turn me round. I'm gonna keep on a-walking, keep on a-talking, marching up to freedom land. Thank you.
I don't know if you can hear that. That's a round of applause for you.
Oh, thank you.
I appreciate you so much.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna ask, who else do you have there, Claire?
Okay, it would be Maria followed by Gladys.
Awesome, and then we'll come back to the room.
This one does not have a title yet. Constant fights and screaming, constant pressure and anxiety. I'm never enough and never will be. I cry often, alone, in the dark where no one can see, while silently hoping and wishing to be free. Every night I prayed, please help me. Small cuts every now and again, never enough to cause alarm. My friends ask why I always cover my arms, but still she can't see. I quietly whisper to her, I know you can help me. My grades drop, I no longer care. I stop eating and lose a lot of weight. I have a permanent attitude, but no one pays any mind. I know what I said, please, please help me. Soon I start experimenting with drugs and alcohol. My responsibilities take up permanent residence on the back burner that is my life. I stop taking care of myself. No one bats an eye. Why can't they hear me yelling, "Somebody help me"? No one notices when the scars start showing up on my body. No one questions my being gone for days at a time. I tried to show them, but they can't help me. I'm not sure how I got here, but the bridge is slippery where I'm standing. Wind's blowing, sirens are loud in my ear. Too late, I tell myself they won't help you. Right before my world turns black, I hear him scream, "Please, I can help you." My eyes open to crying and consoling. I'm standing but not seen, as my best friend tells people how happy and helpful I always was. She turns and bangs on my casket. "Why didn't you say you needed help?" I appear to her and only her. I did, but you guys never listened.
Where's our little elephant today? Where's our little elephant today?
He got hot because it is 115 outside, so he went to watch TV.
Okay. Okay, awesome. So we're gonna go to Bill Batcher. He's here in the room in Riverhead Library, making his way up. Here he is.
I'm going to read two poems. The first one is short. It's called Tuesday's Math Lesson. And in parenthesis under the title is Uvalde, Texas. 19 kids plus 2. 1 subtracts all 21. By how many shots? The total? Way too many. Now answer, how many more? And this one is Old Men Look for Love. Old men look for love as much as young, to kiss again and cuddle and caress, to have a reason to go out, to shave and dress, to hold a hand while favorite songs are sung. We are too old for that. Now act our age, we're told. Our time has passed. We had our chance. The music's stopped. We danced our final dance. The band has all packed up and left the stage. Sufficient now, the love of children, grandkids, and the recall of what once had been. To disregard the love now gone is sin. No. To resurrect that love, to once more feel what we had felt, though different now and strange, is also good, and oh God, just as real. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bill. Actually, I would like to read something. This is entitled America's Scars of History. Looking back and knowing where we've come from, at all the obstacles that have been placed in our way, the torture, the hangings, even the many mysterious killings of some, makes me wonder how I'm even alive, sane, and here today. I would not be quiet, nor would I ever forget the stories my parents and grandparents told us about the sacrifices our ancestors made. Not that long ago when they were captured, chained, shackled together, then shipped far away across the ocean in a stockade. Even if they try to silence me by cutting off my tongue and ears, my eyes will tell the stories of the oppressor's fears, our stories, our fears. The fear of being stripped down naked, tied while stinging lashes thrust upon our rears, while questioning the existence of God ever being there, and making us pray that God was here and wishing that this old life's end was near. Fear is what I felt as they dragged me by my feet, delivering my reckoning while still I weep. And as she was forced to spread her young trembling legs, and as we cried, pleaded, and begged as we bled. My beautiful brothers and sisters, we are the proud descendants of those who were treated worse than barren dirt, whose fathers and mothers were beaten, bought, sold, traded. There are no words that could describe the magnitude of our hurt. Everything about us, they told us, was hated. Slave owners didn't care about separating an African man from his family. They were only concerned with their own satisfaction. Well, we were all just commodity. Damn. My great-grandfather's father, Peter, was born enslaved with a value of $538. He was appraised, listed right there in the inventory sheet of slave owner Allen T. Overby, recently deceased, then bequeathed as chattel property to another slave owner. And I could dim and shame more by not mentioning the name to whom he was released. At the very early age of 7, Peter was separated from his family, from the loving arms of his weeping mother, Jenny, snatched, shirt soaking wet with the tears of his brothers. Frank was 4 and 2-year-old Joe. Did Peter ever see his family again? Years I've searched, and it hurts like hell to say, I still don't. Slavery, poison heirloom passed down from one generation to the next generation, beginning at birth. Imagine living an entire life with very little or no hope at all in sight. No matter what anyone says about slavery, it just wasn't right. Now, slavery is just one of the many scars in America's history, doused in blood and tears, which evokes painful memories with significance too important not to hear. And even after slavery, we were terrorized. A crack to the head, face, arm, back, leg, and knee to the young Black men, women, and kids repeatedly did those with billy clubs hit, boastfully grinning and shouting, "Get them, get them." And there's a couple of N-words in there, as the pack and growling dogs viciously bit. We were knocked down, harshly brushed and crushed by the velocity of the fireman water hose aim, tarred and feathered, paraded in a mob, tightly weighed down by yet another heavy-ass chain. What a damn shame. They raped our precious little girls, hung our boys without consequences. They took what they wanted and destroyed our businesses, burned crosses, bombed our churches, arrested our ministers and leaders. You see, to them, we weren't really human. You know, to them, we were only niggers. And now we have pandemics of COVID-19 and racism, insurgents in our government, a rise in unemployment, increase in acts of microaggressions and the regular aggression. When will it ever end? And when will they learn their lesson? Black people are the ones always left in the most pain because too many people talk just by sitting down, don't vote, and claim that they're doing and they're just going to wait for the change. While evil, coward lawmakers remain working on reverse progress, moral and financial gain. But for how long will we have to wait, live, and fight those who think they're better than us because their skin is white? Will it ever end, or must we all die before God pays attention to our desperate cry? I hate the thought of being shot down because of the color of my skin, but I will always remember, no, unfortunately, I'm reminded every time I walk out the door, that's the cruel reality all Black men and women are in. I'm tired, I'm so tired. So look here, it's time to wake up, America. It's still time to start healing from the scars of history, but by first telling the truth, the reality. This nation was formed, founded, and is still being governed with ideology embedded in racism, sexism, homophobia, and other mean, selfish, and inhumane atrocities. Native American genocide and slavery, are just two of the deep scars in America's history. So America, please learn from these mistakes and don't lose sight before it's too late. Understand any action fueled with hate, white supremacy mythology, fear, homophobia, sexism, racism just isn't right. Please stop killing our Black men, women, and children. Stop making policies, laws, and degrading systems designed to put and keep Black people and people of color down in poverty, depressed, and in prison. Stop spreading hate. We're all human. We're all the same. And remember, if this America or this idea of America is truly the land of the free, then liberty, justice, and equality must be inclusive, including people who look like you and me. Thank you. Now, thank you so much. Thank you, I appreciate that. Maggie, would you like to come back now or would you like to wait a little bit longer? Because we have some more people on the open mic. Absolutely. And what's your name? Barbara Cousins is coming to the mic, but right after we get someone from the Zoom land. So Claire, who do you have?
Okay, we have Gladys, followed by Mindy.
Okay, great. So we're gonna have Gladys Henderson. And it's so good to see you. Look at that beautiful smile.
I'm good. Thanks, Chip. Thank you so much. So I think it's so interesting as America goes through rough waters that you start to think about how things might change if we weren't vigilant. Anyway, my first poem was called Flag Etiquette. Blood on the ground, Charlottesville or any town, yours may be next. Hatreds and equal opportunity employing for those who prefer. And what if our flag is used to wipe up the blood of the blameless? Slaughter made acceptable. How would we fold it then? According to protocol, with salutes and trumpets, well-orchestrated strains of the anthem blaring into our dumbstruck ears? Neatly, ever so neatly, would we place the flag into its presentation box? Hungry maws waiting. Democracy will explain how the blood got there, if any of its remnants remain. Wow. Yep. I think I'll end there.
Okay, Mindy Cronenberg.
Thank you, Chip, Maggie, Susan, everyone. This is terrific being here in these challenging times. Happy anniversary to Poetry Street.
Thank you.
And happy Juneteenth. This is a short poem. It's named after an artwork by and in the memory of Michael Richards. In case you don't know who he was an African-American sculptor. And on the morning of 9/11 was working on one of his pivotal works called Tar Baby versus Saint Sebastian. And it was a statue. Saint Sebastian had been tied to a tree and shot through with arrows. And he made a statue of basically himself dressed as an airman and with planes going through him. So there's something strangely connected about this, unhappily, to that morning when he perished. Tar Baby versus Saint Sebastian, in memory of artist Michael Richards. You were the artist rising, golden aviator of a prescient work. You cast your own body to become a Tuskegee airman embedded by planes, suspended and stilled, eyes shut, hands turned upward, chattel, martyr, forever floating on indignant radar, hovering and impaled in the studio of Tower 1, 92 floors up, forever burning. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maggie. Okay, so we're going to come to this room now. We're going to ask Barbara to please come and read. Barbara Cousins, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, Barbara Cousins.
I gotta say a couple of things.
Okay.
This is my first time here, and I have to tell you, I am so moved by the beauty and the truth of my predecessors. I did not bring one of my serious poems today. I brought two short, amusing ones. So we'll have a change of pace. But what I've heard before me is just absolutely so moving. I also want to add that I was an educator for nearly 40 years. And I taught many subjects, and I taught up elementary school, all the subjects. And poetry was part of every single year and program that I taught. And I got these big, bad, tough boys who knew only four-letter words to write respectable poetry. And I will never forget that. One got up in front. I said, no, you wrote it, I will not read it. You read it, otherwise sit down. And he stood there and he read his poem, and the class started applauding. And he just stood there, and a tear trickled down his cheek. And his behavior from that day on was, he was a completely changed person because everybody loved his poem. And when he grew up, he came to visit me, and he has never forgotten that day of the poem. So one poem changed one boy's life, I feel. And it changes all our lives. Anyway, here we go. I'm gonna put my glasses on.
While she's getting her glasses, I just want to say that poetry does change lives. It's changed my life. It's changed my life as well. And you can read all about it in the Sellers Review, issue number 59, right, Taku? And you got to tell us about the Sellers Review. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Barbara Cousins. Thank you.
Well, one of the subjects I taught was math, often nobody's favorite. So this one is called The Grapes of Math. Okay, the grapes of math. What kind of reaction is inspired by a fraction? Do you react with stupefaction or a sense of satisfaction? Are you filled with indecision at the thought of long division? Does it take a lot of persuasion to analyze an equation? Do the multiplication tables create knots in your brain cables? Does doing subtraction create mental impaction? Without fingers, you're unable to add, so doing sums is really bad. Do you experience fear mounting while in the act of counting? Does a numerical question give you mental indigestion? And you no longer feel astute when attempting to compute? Are numbers like weeds in life's path? Then you suffer from the grapes of math. This one's about food, you'll see. It's called Edible Incredible. Your words become a stifled mutter when the mouth is glued by peanut butter. And what effort it takes to follow masticated hard-boiled egg with a swallow. You can count on one of your two thumbs those who can imbibe crackers without producing crumbs. Have you noticed when eating coconut, it's as if the teeth were in a rut? Though you chew and munch, that fruit persists long after lunch. How does one gracefully eat a cherry tomato or remedy a mouthful of too hot potato? The former embarrassingly squirts, and as everyone knows, the latter hurts. Though on your palate, chocolates temptingly melt, not so the flesh they will put under your belt. Unfair, unfair, unfairest of all. Does it really not arouse your gall that those edibles which are most delicious are also the least likely to be nutritious?
Thank you so much.
This is wonderful. I've never knew about this until the other day.
Well, yeah, so just so everyone knows, Poetry Street is the last Saturday of every month, as you know, because you're here now, but it's from 2 to 4 at the Riverhead Library. Okay, thank you. Thank you. So I'm gonna go to Zoom land, and I know Bernard Hicks is somewhere over there in Zoom land, so I'm gonna ask him to read now. Bernard Hicks, are you around? Oh.
Sir, yes, sir. Okay.
It's been a very long day, but we're so glad to be here, and we're glad you're here too. So Bernard, please bless us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Great feature readings by the two poets. And thank you, Chip. Thank you, Maggie, for having me. And I'd like to thank a friend of mine for lending me her vocals for this poem right here. The title of this poem, Revolt. Please pass me a tissue so I can wipe away my tears. Tell me, was my life worth living so I can justify the years? The stories that make my heart weak, the stories that make my heart beat, the people in our heart we dearly keep, the people we lost that make our hearts weep. How much does happiness cost? And once you buy it, was it worth the cost? Were you trying to get happier than happy? And was the experience a win or a loss? There are those who are healthy at wealth, at the same time destitute at health. Credit scores proudly displayed in the upper tiers, while unchecked health scores linger in arrears. Too eager to show off their material prize, and too eager to ignore health warning signs. Eating today as if there's no tomorrow, living lavish for today, for a future of sorrow. When life throws you problems and you're looking for solutions, and every equation you try leads to no resolution, it may be time to start your own revolution. Revolt against misinformation. Revolt against being misguided. Revolt against stress and lack of sleep. Revolt against tired of being tired. Revolt of against not being told the truth and passing that same misinformation to our youth. Revolt against passing down poor nutritional cultures while pharmaceutical companies circle above us like patient vultures. Revolt against poor nutrition. Revolt against poor education. Revolt against not knowing who to trust. Revolt against no reparations. Revolt from those who on their neck bears a cross, smiling on the outside, but consumed with devilish thoughts. Unabashedly seeking riches, no matter the cost. Spiritually empty inside, displaying their souls are lost. Revolt for a better tomorrow. Revolt for longevity, not consumed with sorrow. Revolt for wisdom, understanding, and tolerance. Revolt for your years to be fruitful and time well spent. Revolt for others who can't revolt for themselves. Revolt for those whom the system intentionally failed. for those lives who were cut short or innocently put in jail, making up a small percent of the population, making up a large percent of the incarceration? Is it the willful neglect of the school education or a direct result of race relations? Revolt against holidays whose meanings are misconstrued to the point you feel like you're blatantly being used, encouraging you to feel happy if you're spending your money. Deep inside, something feels strange, something feels funny. Indigenous people don't think holidays are happy and see no cause for joyous celebration. Historically, on the far outside looking in on what was once their proud nation. Rereading pages and pages of our history books. We educated scholars taking a second look. Rewriting the history that we all just mistook. Reminding ourselves that one chef isn't the only cook. Walking into the Harlem Hall of Fame, paying homage to those from which I came, understanding my destiny was placed in their hands. It took a village, love, and God's master plan. I'm an urban Picasso, a Harlem Rembrandt, painting a vintage picture of a hood that some don't want to recognize as a real neighborhood. Please pass me another tissue. These tears seem to never stop flowing. I want to live in a world where the sun is always glowing, or maybe it's better living day to day in a world of never knowing. Revolt. Thank you.
Thunderous applause for you, my brother. Thank you so much for that. Joseph Hearns, you're in the building. If you could please read for us. And by the way, Joseph is going to be one of our features coming up.
All right, then. It's a hard act to follow when you follow with Bernard Hicks. Let me say. I also want to say that, Maria, I enjoyed yours. I see you're new to the scene. My poem is on meditation. The stillness, the silence, the fulfillment is in a direction of love in which the Holy Spirit is in you, placed from above. So when spending time with the Lord, Father, meaningfully alone, listening to obey without bother, letting it work in both ways, knowing your soul will be saved. This is a person-to-person basis by letting so many see the traces. So on your knees, with your head at a nod, makes it important to Jesus for God. And all God asks as a sign is you give him 24 hours of your time. He asked this for you to give. Now ask yourself, Lord, did I pray enough for your mansion to live? That's it. I don't know.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Susan Dingle, our other founder of Poetry Street. We're so happy that you're here, and please share with us.
Thank you, Chip. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I want to just say how moving and wonderful it is that all these years later, Poetry Street is still alive and well. And I can't tell you how my heart is so full. This was our dream, right, Bubby? This was our dream. And we sat together in the Blue Duck Bakery. I'll never forget. Let me just tell you this. I only have a teensy short poem, but Bubby and I were talking about this thing that we were going to do called Poetry Street. And Bubby said it was in June, and that was when Juneteenth is. And I said, Bubby, what is Juneteenth? And Bubby explained to me in 2014 what Juneteenth was, but it turns out Bubby had only heard about it a few years before himself, because at one time, Juneteenth was like this big secret. So we decided that our first theme would be Juneteenth, which was really when every voice was heard. And so I want to read just a short poem, and I'm deeply grateful that we were blessed with being able to, like, the proof, as Bubby said, that God can do extraordinary things through ordinary people, and Poetry Street is one extraordinary thing. So I'm just going to read this quick poem. It's in honor of my sister, who was a poet whose voice was never heard. And also with the shout out that mental illness and mental health was also always been one of our concerns at Poetry Street. This is My Sister Betsy Was a Cutter. My sister Betsy was a cutter, a real cutter, not the phony, timid little kind like me, whose cuts you could hardly see. The dots of blood along my wrist were enough for me. But she was the Picasso of cutting. You should have seen her arms. Years later, like silver jewelry, the scars that shined from one end of her arm to the other, that shined on her legs. And by then she was so big that the silver scars spread wide, so wide, it was like she was wrapped in moonlight, in starlight. My sister, who had by then changed her name to Judy so she could get away from them. Thank you all.
Pamelita Jones has joined the call. I see you on a phone, Pamelita. If you would like to read, please unmute now. Pamelita Jones, the Ambassador of Peace.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
The title of this poem is Thine Heart. In heaven, because thou hast seen me pass this turmoil of life on earth, thou chose to keep me within thine heart. Because I was conceived in heaven, while upon this earth, I'm still a fetus developing within the womb of thine heart. Though it seems as if my feet touch the ground, in truth are wings upon my feet, for I rest in thine heart. Heaven is from whence I come, in heaven, because thou hast seen us past this turmoil of life on earth. Thou chose to keep us within thine heart. Because we were conceived in heaven, while upon this earth we are still a fetus developing within the womb of thine heart. And though it seems as if our feet touch the ground, in truth our wings upon our feet, for we rest within thine heart. So there we go, by the grace of God, walking with our sweet Jesus by and by. Our comfort is his staff and rod. On an angel's wings we do fly, kissing all our King God created, truly glad that we really waited. And as we walk, we ask that he let all life live free within thee. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. And please stay tuned and to poetrystreetontheroad.com for upcoming features. Okay, Bernardo, if you would please read.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for the opportunity to share my work. We talk about freedom. There was a bird called Sankofa. And when I learned about what Sankofa's purpose was, I meditated upon it, and in my mind appeared this poem. Sankofa, voice is bridge. Voice, a choice we make. What sound to break the quiet? In a multicultural household, which language to reply with, to communicate, appreciate, explore this mystery of history of culture, to choose the views of eagles, doves, or vultures. How do I find Sankofa, that mystical winged creature who will carry me over the Atlantic Ocean on a magical, majestic journey? Maybe turn back the hands of time so I will arrive to see, feel, taste, hear, smell the essence of the place my ancestors did once dwell. How do I cross this great divide beyond the fear, the doubt, the anguish, a look, an ear, a heart to part the language, a boat, a plane, a bird, a word to link my soul to heritage, voice as bridge. Bonjour, akulale, a bon chever, abaragani. How is your family? Grazie pi leuto. Ek het you lief. Olum bukun funo. Assalamu alaikum. Take none of this for granted. They speak 2,000 different languages on the continent of Africa, where my DNA says I am from. But so much information has been lost along the way. How do I find my way home? Or at least the home of my great, 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 great grands. But do their lives even matter? After all, home is where I stand, where I kneel, pray. How do I use voice as bridge to commune, to communicate, to bias, privilege, hate? What words can I say when video and body cams make their viewpoint shams? What is it I can say? And if I can't make it okay, how do I find Sankofa, that mystical winged creature to carry me over to where I am safe, to drive while Black and have no fear, nor apprehension of what moves I make, or even in these states of grief to still find peace, asking God to lead the way to where I may learn how to forgive. Prayers sent to where He lives, using my voice as bridge.
Thank you so much, Bernardo. Claire, who else do we have that would like to read?
Okay, I want to check in with Mrs. Graham, and then let me ask her to unmute, and then we have Kirsten Monroe.
Okay, great. And then after Kirsten, we'll come back to the room. Thank you.
So the poem I'm doing is basically based on an old Chinese political philosophy. It's called the Mandate of Heaven, and it's basically a philosophy they would use to justify the emperor's, position in society. So that's the poem I'm going to start with. The Mandate of Heaven. Picked by heaven, ordinary men, the one who leads nations, for the betterment of the people, to keep the cosmic balance across each dynasty and even today. But when greed begins to define their actions, that mandate can quickly change. People are now angered and starving. There is no harmony. Pieces of dust are crippling their backs because they are too weak to stand. Heaven has the deciding hand as famine, floods, and death spreads across the land. Leaders who do not serve the people forfeit their right to rule. People have the right to rebel as heaven chooses a fair man to rule. The old leaders removed, sons of heaven no more, just the devil's fools. So that's the first one. The second one I'm doing is about menopause, and it's called Drying of the Red Tide. Age is the feast of innocence and life. It comes with every breath we take. Periods come in our youth, only to depart from us once we are old. Women are no longer able to bear fruit. They are left empty as the uterus gathers dust. A red ocean becomes vacant sand as the eggs expire. No periods, but no ability to have children. Along with the psychological and physical change, it messes with the memory. Bones start to ache in weird places, along with nausea, rashes, and hot flashes. It's a process that can put women through a great deal of pain. Then there's the reputation these women get. Society thinks women over a certain age are ruined. Not being fertile doesn't make someone less of a woman. However, things do change. You start to feel your decades, then there are the hormones to take. And in a way, you are left to mourn. The old friend that would come once a month is here no more. So grieve for it, then walk onto a new beach with an open heart and embrace the golden waters. It's old age, but it's a final step before going back to the stars and living forever. So those are my poems. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you so much for sharing. Bring our features back. We're going to start with Marsha M. Nelson. Wasn't she great? I mean, the artwork of the poetry, she's just amazing. Thank you so much. Okay, you're good. All right,
thank you. Okay, so this one is different. It's a change of pace. And before I read it, I want to thank Maggie and Chip again. Thank you for having me. It was great to be here. Thank you, poets. It's good to feel the house of poets. You know, I like to feel the energy that's in the house. And on Zoom also, I feel it. Okay, it's called There is Purpose in the Pain. Grief can be the garden of compassion. If you keep your heart open through everything, your pain becomes your greatest ally in your life's search for love and wisdom. That's Rumi. You have so much more to write, she said to me. Yes, I know, I answered. But sometimes the sword gets heavy in my hand, the veil of tears thick in my eyelashes. We humans have a propensity to shut down when grief is too much for words. Bitter roots, remorseful roots, insecure roots, bittersweet aftertaste of misery poured forth from desolate hearts. We bottle up pain, collecting the essence of some strange flowers, heaping them close to our embittered hearts, unaware that heartbreaks are gold nuggets to be stored in life's vault. At the ripe old age of wisdom, will we learn that our pain has given birth to our purpose. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. And again, we apologize for all the technical issues today. We've had quite a challenge from beginning to end. However, it will not stop us. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Takudzwa Chikepe.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy being here. So I just want to talk a little bit about the Sailors Review. So I'm also the publisher and the founder of the Sailors Review from Africa. We've got a group of poets and artists. Right now, there are more than 500, and we publish a newsletter every month. So it is an amazing journey. And if you have a poem that you want to share with brothers and sisters in Africa and beyond, please send me an email. I've put my details in the chat, and most probably we'll publish your poetry. Thank you so much. My poem for today, another one, it's called I Buried the Newspaper. I buried the newspaper. Enjoy. This is now my newspaper. My email is now my newspaper. I no longer need any kind of a newspaper except my email. With my email, I am all set and done. I no longer need to hear or read all those stories about people I don't know, people who have got nothing to do with me or who do not concern me. These days, I am only concerned about myself. Do I know you? Do you know me? Do we have anything in common? What can I do for you? What is my proposal to you has become my mantra and the order of my day. You will not see me at the street corner buying a newspaper like the ancients. Very soon, I will be reading my modern newspaper with the aliens. In the meantime, my email is enough. I drink my coffee over my emails. I start my day through my emails, and I go to sleep from my emails. My emails are like my pajamas. This is true, and it is true that I buried the newspaper, and I am the new guy in town. My name is the email. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Now I'm going to bring Maggie back up to close us out. All right. Thank you again for everyone for being there on Zoom and here in the Riverhead Free Public Library. We thank you all. We thank you, TA. We thank you, Taco. We thank you, Marsha. We thank you, Susan and Bubby and Judy and Maria and Herb and Bernardo and Gladys and Pamelita and Mindy and everyone on the phone. Here's Maggie.
Again, I repeat the thanks to all of you for coming to our wonderful features, and to all of you who maintained and were able to enjoy all this beautiful work today, in spite of a few technical glitches, shall we say, which we're still straightening them out. But what a wonderful gift it is to have an in-person venue again, and to be able to include all these people from all over the country and the world. Thank you so very much. We invite you to come back last Saturday in July. Our features will be Nancy Keating, Tom Stock, and Joseph Hearn. So please join us. We love you, and thank you to Poetry Street for giving me personally 8 wonderful years, and for giving the world of poetry a venue for 8 years, and to everybody. And this was not a good week for a lot of reasons, but today was a wonderful day. Thank you.
Exactly what she said. Thank you so much. Good night.